you're not on you're not on any kind of organized tour right now. You were telling me.
Yeah, we like to play, whether we're supporting a record or not. We like to. We've been on tour all year. We just did a month tour of South America. We did Brazil and Argentina, and we did Spain, where we recorded a live album that's coming out in September. It's a double live album, and it's our first live album in America. We did one in '77 in England, and that was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So. And it's so that's going to be coming out in September, and then
some live tracks on Rock and Roll High School there, I remember.
Well, that wasn't considered a live album. That was just something that was done at the Roxy. That wasn't considered a live album. Mm-hmm. And we do have. Thinking about it, we have all the Stuff and More Volume 2 is coming out in June, the end of June. It's comprised of. A Rocket to Russia and Road to Room, plus 4 bonus tracks that have never been released at all, and then we have 3 films coming out in September that we have songs in. Car 54 we're in, and it was directed by Bill Fishman, and it's going to be really a cool kind of film. It's, I guess, loosely based around the 60s TV show, but it's sort of a 90s version, and we have a song in Highway 61 that was done by Bruce McDonald, who had done Roadkill, film that I was in, and it won Best Film in the '89 Toronto Film Festival, and it was David Cronenberg's favorite film of the year. And we have a song in that, and the scene was based around the song. It's German Rock and Roll Radio, and we possibly have a song in Terminator 2, which is supposedly the big summer blockbuster, and hopefully, if Guns N' Roses don't knock us out, we'll be in the film.
Oh, great. Going back a ways, it's quite a change. All the working in the movies, going back to Pet Cemetery, and one of your songs is even a beer commercial now.
Yeah, that was.
That's stark contrast to.
Well, I thought that was pretty hip on the part of Anheuser-Busch to want Blitzkrieg Bop for their ad, which was really done well and real artistically and real clever, and we checked out their backgrounds, and we like Budweiser, and a lot of the other beer companies are linked to the KKK and the John Birch Society, like Coors and Miller, but Bud's been very supportive of rock and roll and very open-minded, and it's a good company.
Let me go back a ways. Does it get tiring sometimes of being known as the grandfathers of punk rock and roll, punk rock?
We're not. I mean, people know us for, there's people say, we're this and we're that, and it's nice, it's flattering, and you appreciate it. But I mean, I feel like we're the last and the only real exciting rock and roll band that exists. I mean, that is real and sincere and cares about its audience, and just as we're real, we're down to earth. We're not putting on any airs. We're not putting on any of these costumes like these. I mean, everything's so pretentious nowadays. You know what I mean? I mean, we're just we just hit the stage and blow you away, and without any pretension, crap and this, like half these bands that exist. I mean, I feel like the Ramones and Motorhead are the only 2 bands that matter, And like, I mean, even there's some other good bands out there. There's probably more bands now than ever before that that are worth it, like Faith No More and Manitoba's Wild Kingdom.
I was going to bring them up. I mean, the Old Dictators, the new Manitoba's Wild Kingdom, they played here a while back and I covered it for them.
Yeah.
That's got to be great. I mean, just for you to see those guys back out there.
Yeah, well, I've always been a big Dictators fan. Right? I was like, the first time I saw them was in like '73, and I was 103 in the audience, and I've been a fan, right from the beginning, and I love Manitoba's Wild Kingdom, and they're really good friends of mine, and writing partners as well. Me and Andy we co-wrote a song for the last album, Ignorance is Bliss, and we've been writing for the new album that we started in November with Ed Stasian producing. And
now Andy's the newer member of the group, though, isn't he?
Nah.
Oh, he's with the original?
Yeah.
I know they traded one.
Yeah.
I think they're basically.
Well, that guy Animal Mendoza. He was on the first album.
Oh, okay.
And Andy was just songwriting. And then Andy joined up for the other 2 albums.
The first thing after the show, Dick could not talk at all. He would just walk around and just kind of growl some sounds and something. He puts that much into a show.
Yeah, no, Manitoba is great. He's like, he's up and he's alive and he's he's real and he's he's a lot of fun and he's good energy and he's unique and he's people like Manitoba and Wild Kingdom were the Dictators and the Ramones and or Motorhead or AC/DC or we're all
Straight ahead.
Straight ahead and we no bullshit and we just want to have a good time and it's real and we're gonna leave you fulfilled you go see bands I don't want to knock anybody but I went to Guns N' Roses at the Ritz for one of those rehearsals and I like Guns N' Roses. They're like of the newer bands and being in the top 40 and all that stuff. I guess it gives you hope because, or it gives some people hope because they're a bunch of rowdy. They're real and they're rowdy and they got a good fuck you, a healthy fuck you attitude and they have a lot of great songs but 2.5 hours is pretty boring. You know what I mean? It's like. Well, yeah. They have some good songs, and they, they're fun and all, but it's just a little too long. You know what I mean? It's like instead of putting out a double live album for the next album, they should put out one great single album. Instead of. But I guess they're hot and they'll make a lot of money.
Black Crowes.
Black Crowes. There you go.
Top 10.
No, I like the Black Crowes because they have that kind of attitude. They have attitude. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't see them as being anything revolutionary at all. To me, they're a cross between the Stones and Rod Stewart and the Faces kind of a sound. But they have a lot of attitude, so I admire people with attitude. And so I like the Crowes. You know what I mean?
And finally, do you feel like the group's been vindicated in such that people look back now at 70s music and kind of say, yeah, maybe it wasn't so good after all, and maybe it was time for Ramones to come through and kind of shatter all the pretentiousness of you often quote Stairway to Heaven and Nights in White Satin.
Well,
kind of.
Yeah, well, it's like the only the thing about Stairway to Heaven was Led Zeppelin were always a great band and will always be a legendary great band. Mm-hmm. But I think it wasn't so much the fall of Led Zeppelin, it was the fall of AOR radio and that everything got stagnant because of politics and payola and until maybe that scandal with the independents, A&R, promotion people, and that whole scandal kind of broke the industry and things changed for the better, though that stuff goes on anyway, just a little more discreet now, you know what I mean? But things are definitely more open. Things were really locked up for a while with the industry and radio and payoffs and very, now things are more open, but, still the bottom line is if you're great, and people will notice, and if, it's rough because, the chart is pretty locked up and it is pretty corrupt, you know what I mean? But if you're good, people are gonna know and word's gonna get out, you know what I mean? And that's really the way it will always have to be. It will always seem that, to me, the great artists are always sidelined because maybe they don't have the money to get into the top 40, you know what I mean? Maybe the record companies aren't going to put up $100,000 to buy them a hit single, you know what I mean? And then for people like Wilson Phillips, they're sure they'll cough up anything, you know what I mean? And so, it's really up to you. Got to think for yourself, and you got to hopefully you know what's good, or your friend could turn you on to something that's good, and you'll wake up in time, if you care at all or whatever, you know what I mean? But I still think it's a healthier environment now. than it was 10 years ago. At least things are more rock and roll orientated as opposed to synthesizer music and all the, you know, but we still, on the other hand, we still have Vanilla Ice, which is, but what can you do? You know what I mean?
They're always going to be
There's
around.
always going to be a Vanilla Ice, you know, but hopefully you're smart enough to, you know, come see the Ramones.
And they still do. They still do. Great. We're all set.